Hi guys, Harry Sunday here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called thereisonlyonefootball.com, guys. They've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone. All that sporting stuff you can wear anywhere you want to wear it, guys. That's right. And don't forget the website it's on, thereisonlyonefootball.com.
There is only one football!
Good evening, good morning, night out footballers. It's live tonight, guys. We're going all the way to somewhere far away, to Leeds United FC, guys. Leeds United will be singing this song for you right now, and see what happens, guys. Check it out. Here we go. Hup. Feel it. Here we go, guys. Hup. Check it out. Hup. Feel the rhythm, guys. Here we go. Here we go. Hey. The cup of life. This is the one. Now is the time. Don't ever stop. We should've known, gotta be strong. We should've known, right from the top, Kenny. And if you feel the heat, the world is at your feet, Tony. Now I can feel it over, you can see it. I see it in your eyes, Alan. It's that the way it's gonna be tonight. That's the way it's gonna be right now in footballers. Do you really want it? Do you really? Tell me right now, people. Here we go. Ali, 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 go, 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 Ali, Ali, Ali. Tonight's the night, we're gonna celebrate. Here we go, Ali. We are the people, we are the passion, we are the history. Our game's our history. The NSL, the A-League, where do we go? The NPL, we're going to Leeds United, guys. It's our way, the highway, gentlemen. Oh my God, I tell you what, Alan, I don't think you've ever heard an intro like that in your life in the game. And I tell you what, I hope I have not given you a headache as well. So welcome, Alan, all the way from Leeds United. Welcome, Alan, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And of course,
thank you very much for the invite.
and of course, thank you very much. And of course, the Socceroo Dad and Kenny Wilson, they're on tonight too, guys. There you go, boys. I've lost the plot. I have lost the plot because when Alan spoke to me yesterday, I could not believe the names that I could hear. And I tell you what, these names tonight, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching the show, are absolute madness. Absolute madness, because we're going to find out about two guys, and a lot of guys, but particularly three guys that I did a little bit of research. And of course, Tony Dorigo. Does he ring a bell to you, Tony Dorigo there, Alan, at all?
Tony, very, very good. In fact, he works for Leeds United Television at the moment now, does Tony.
Yes.
So he does every game for Leeds United.
Uh-huh.
Spent a lot of time with him, and what I call it, yeah. Obviously, you know, he was in Australia, then he moved to Aston Villa as a young kid.
Yes.
So I think his family moved back. to Birmingham. Then he went to Chelsea, and then we signed him from Chelsea. The year that we won the First Division Championship, 91-92 season.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, great player.
And of course,
great fella. Spent a lot of time with him.
Yes.
He had his relations come over, funny enough, from Adelaide.
Really?
Because he was from Melbourne, Adelaide, with Tony. And I know one of them was in some kind of secret police thing, and he came over running with us one day. So we gave him a shirt to take back to Australia.
So now, before I get you on to talk some more, he's another Australian, is that right? Another Australian, this Tony Dorigo. Eh? He comes from Adelaide, of course, and we missed out on his services for the Socceroos, and he was happy to play for England. Is that right? Of course.
That's certainly right.
Oh, my God.
I've still got one of his shirts from when he played in actually, it was 1993.
Yes.
The year before the World Cup. England played in America.
Yes.
And against Germany, the States, and somebody else. And he gave me one of his shirts. I've still got it home. And it was the first time that they actually had the name put on the back. The Americans insisted, because in them days you just had a number on.
Uh-huh.
But the Americans for this tournament insisted they had the names on the back. And so, yeah, and got it signed and everything, yeah. So I got that back home with the Rigo on it.
Absolutely, mate. Now, Kenny, you pretty well know these gentlemen with us tonight. Is that right?
I certainly do. I was introduced to him by a dear friend of mine a few years ago, and every time Alan comes, we catch up regularly, and we talk about the Premier League, and we have disagreements about who's going to win, who's going to be top four.
Oh, listen. He makes that many statements. Honestly, I've got to keep ringing him up to remind him, especially at the end of the season.
Oh my God.
I said next time I'm getting a tape recorder. You know what I mean? Because you don't believe me there. And he's got one going at the moment, but unfortunately lost again at weekend, which I'm a bit sad because a really good friend of mine, James Miller, plays for them now.
Yeah.
And that's Brighton and Hove Albion. And so I'm hoping James does well there because he's only a few. I think he's only a few games away from being the second highest record for the record in Premier League. His mate Gareth Barry owns it, and then of course Ryan Giggs is second, and he's third. But I think he just needs a few more games, and he becomes the second most player to play in the Premier League.
I think we were talking at lunch a couple of weeks ago. I saw it. I mean, I'm sure it was there, but James Milner is the only player to play in Europe. Now, whether that means UEFA Cup.
Yeah. For
five different teams.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Kenny. I think the more I thought about it afterwards, I think you're probably right, actually.
Unbelievable. I mean, what an unbelievable record. I mean, you obviously know James really well. I mean, what age?
No, James since he was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And then even today, his uncle, great friend, we meet up for coffee and that, like me and you do. Once every couple of months, whatever. And his granddad. Well, James rang me one time. I could work his granddad, and we became really good friends actually because he lives. I live in the Yorkshire Dales, a place called Batley Bridge, and he lived just down the road in Harrogate. So we met up and became really good family friends actually.
I mean, how good a player has he been? I mean, what is he now? 37, 38? What?
38, I think he's 38. The thing is with James, I think it's only in the last few years where people recognise. I mean, all managers knew. He was one of them 7 out of 10 every game, right? But it was only the manager who had him realised just what a great player he was and how versatile. And it's only in the last few years that even Gary Lineker went public to apologise to him because he was questioned about his ability about doing certain things. And he actually did a live game or he interviewed him after, and he publicly said, "Listen, I want to apologise." And he just get it. You've already been in touch with me because it was only then that he realised just what a great asset and a great player. I mean, Klopp's gone on record and said, without James Milner, Liverpool wouldn't have won the Champions League in the last few years. And he's gone on record.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Because not only that, I think you know this, Kenny, I'm sure one of the ones told you that. But it's his influence in the dressing room as well,
Yeah.
And I mean, we had it at Leeds United with Gordon Strachan. So when we won them second division, first division, Gordon Strachan was he was the man in the dressing room or run it. I mean, a lot of people thought it was going to be Vinnie Jones actually, but Vinnie had an influence, big influence. But Gordon. Hey, and by the way, I don't want to say too much about it.
Don't say too much because I've got some names to give you.
I'll talk about an incident what happened at West Ham.
Yes.
Right? And that summed it up when everybody knew that Gordon was running it. But I wrote about it in my book, actually. So I can't. I'll tell you some stories about different things, but one of them are not in my book, right? And then hopefully people will get it because I don't know if you've been made aware that my book. So far, I've donated to charity because all of it is going to charity.
Beautiful.
And I've donated probably about $12,000 so far. Right? I've sold about 1,100. People bought about 1,100 so far.
Absolutely,
so it's all going to charity. Because initially, I didn't write it to do it to be sold. It was during COVID, and people had asked me, how do you go from being a flag on a curb of lane pavements in Bradford, emigrating to Canada, coming back having my own building firm, and then passing one exam, and then winning championships at Leeds? Oh. So during COVID, that's when I wrote the book. And really, it was for my grandkids down here in Sydney, for Alex and Seb, for them. And it just a publisher wanted to see it, and just said, well, if you put it make it into like mainly the 3 decades at Leeds United, right? We'd love to publish it, see what happens from there. So that's how it all came about with the book.
Alan, just hold it up. You've got it there, yeah? Just hold the book up.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. Can you see it?
Yes, we can. Beautiful.
Hang on, let me get it. Yeah. I ain't got it right yet. I don't want to.
Yes, there it is. There's the book.
Yeah.
How's that?
Fantastic, beautiful.
I can tell you guys, I've read the book. It's a great read. I've got.
Have you read it? Have you?
Yep.
You got it uploaded, did you?
Morris finally gave me the copy.
Oh, right.
Jesus.
Oh, boy.
Right.
It's deadly serious. It's a great read.
Well, you can understand it, Ken. I'm sure you can as well. You can understand it because, like in a treatment room where you're with people, all the hours what you are. It's a matter of keeping everything going and the piss taking and people taking a mickey and, as you said, you've read it and you've seen some of the things. In the early days, like the John Sheridan, John Styles, Nobby Styles' son, and they're great characters. They're funny. Honestly, some are really, it's. When I look back at them, some of the stuff. Then when Howard Wilkinson came in, a lot of that changed. But Billy Bremner, Billy was my first manager.
Jeez.
And Billy, with Billy, we're all about the badge. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's you play for that badge.
Beautiful.
So
and did Johnny Giles take the job there?
No.
He went West Brom.
Don Rebbe wanted him to have the job, but the director. Then when they got rid of Brian Clough after 44 days, they wanted Giles to take over. They said no, and he went to West Brom. He went to West Brom then, did Giles. But the funny thing is that there's when on about John Giles. I mean, if you could have been there with Billy used to come in the treatment room, right? He'd sit down, he'd be smoking a cigarette, crossing his legs, and you'd have people like John Styles on, and then he starts to tell his stories about his Uncle John, you see. The problem is, I had a word, because Eddie Grace is a great friend of mine, and I had a word, one or two stories what I was involved with, or with Norman Huntley when Norman worked with us, and some of the stories I was going to write about them, but Eddie said, be careful, because do you remember the movie, Damn United? I don't know if anybody saw it.
Yeah, the Brian Clough, yeah. I
think Johnny Giles actually was suing him over it, because he did. And I'm sure that if Billy had been around and Don Rebbe and that, I'm sure there were, it could have. But so he said, Alan, be careful with what you write about Johnny Giles, because it could be. So I left it alone. I had to leave it alone. But behind the scenes and that, I'll probably tell them tell the stories about.
I don't know if anyone. I mean, nearly 30 years at one club as a physio is. I don't think anybody can top that, can they?
Oh my God!
Yeah, well, funny enough, a great friend of mine, he did it right over at Newcastle, and he's just done nearly 40 years.
Wow!
So he's and he just finished about a year ago, and he did nearly 40. Did he? I mean, again, fantastic lad, great lad. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I mean that's that. I mean, you've actually gone through. I mean, keeping in mind you're there pre-Premier League.
Yeah.
And you won the last old English First Division.
The old First Division.
And then you've rolled into the Premier League period. So you've experienced both.
Yeah.
And you've experienced the massive changes in diet.
Of Leeds United, when they were nearly going bankrupt,
when
they've virtually gone bankrupt, when they have to get rid of the Dukes and get rid of everybody. You know what I mean? But, no, honestly, it's roller coaster at times. But there was a 10-year period between 90 and 2000 that when you look at what they won, just at every level from the FA Youth Cup. They won that twice, right?
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable. Beat Man United in '93, and Man United had Beckham, Scholes, Buck, Neville brothers, all them. Robbie Savage, he were playing for them, and they beat them over 2-0 at Old Trafford, because I did the video for all them as well, you see, like games like that. Beat them 2-0 at Old Trafford and then 2-1 at Ellen Road. Because Cedric Cantona, right, at that time had left to go to Man United, but I still kept in touch with him. He still lived in Leeds. He still lived in Leeds till 1994, him and his wife Isabel, right? Because obviously my daughter were doing French at school, A-level, and the day after that Man United won the title for the first time against Blackburn, they invited her to their house, and she answered the telephone all day long, right? People ringing from France. And the next day she went and did her oral exam at school and got a grade A after spending the day with Campton House. Little stories like that from a family point of view.
Unbelievable. I'd like to bring Tony on to speak to you, because he's got a few statistics on you here, of course, Alan. Just listen to what he has to say to you.
One quick one, Al. Your book, is that available in Australia or is it available online?
What it is, from what I can gather, it's on Amazon. You can get it on that from Amazon, right? It's what most people, a lot of people have been buying. Obviously, I opened this weekend, but it's been called off. We're going to have a Leeds United supporters doing in Sydney, but the lads who organised had to call it off. So I'm meeting up with one of them from Newcastle, a guy called Marcus Russell, who comes from Keighley. Again, not far from where I came from in Bradford, and but I'm meeting up with him on Saturday afternoon anyway, instead, And then, of course, the other thing on Sunday is another great friend of mine has just taken over the Central Coast Mariners, Mark Jackson. So I'm meeting up with Mark on Sunday, and so yeah. So
well, they wouldn't be happy because Adelaide beat them 3-0 on the weekend.
Yeah, I know. I spoke to him on Sunday. I left it on Saturday. I spoke to him on Sunday, but he said he lost 2 of his key players early on. Yeah,
that's bad injuries.
Yeah,
bad injuries.
So, he said he lost 2 of his key players, who are key players, for him. So,
Caltac was one of them. He's a very good player.
He just said that because problem is that we don't have the television channel here. So what I watch it on Friday night. But we don't have it
Yeah, we're going back now. This is back in your early days, mate. You worked the roads in Bradford.
Yeah.
And then you had to turn down a professional contract. Who was that with?
I did. Bradford Park Avenue.
Yeah.
There's a guy, funny enough, a lot of played with Park, but what I did, I signed as an amateur for them. I was there 3 years. You're playing against people like Sunderland, like Colin Todd at Sunderland. Oh, my God. These people, Middlesbrough, Ayresome Park and all that. So I got to play on all these grounds. In fact, there's a guy who some of called Eric Burns, and he lived in Belmont, right up near Newcastle. Well, he played at Park Avenue at the same time, did he? So a couple of years ago, on his way up to Yamba for a family holiday, I called him, we stayed overnight with him and his wife Barbara, So it's, so he's still over there. I know he played with, quite a few people over there.
Now, you went to Canada as well. What was your move over there?
Listen, funny enough, I got an offer, an half offer to go down to New Zealand, to Christchurch, right? Then when I eventually did get there in '96, I found out that everything closed down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I can't give that one a miss, right?
They got to tend to the sheep. They got to tend to the sheep over there, So.
All I can say about that was I used to get an idea in my head. It's that dream, believe, work, achieve what I talk about in my book, right? Which applies to everybody in life, not just me, And I just got an idea in my head. People used to say, well, what will plan B, plan C? I don't know. I only had a plan A. And I just went to Canada. I landed in Toronto. I had no job and nowhere to stay. The only thing was, there was a guy I went to school with and played at Bradford Park Avenue with Junior a little bit. I'd moved that year before, and I had to get his address. And suddenly I landed in Toronto and just found this is for me. So I managed to get a job in a steel factory in a place called Guelph. And then eventually I moved out to Edmonton, Alberta. Again, a connection from somebody back home. And then eventually, when I did, I think that first winter probably did me more than anything. It wasn't so much the winter and the snow. It's just working outdoors. You didn't work for 3 months. See what I mean? So, excuse me. So yeah. So I did work, and then I thought, right, that's it, And And then eventually I had another friend who had gone to the States to work for Caltech, California Institute of Technology in Pasadena. So I ended up going down there on 3 days and 2 nights on the train. And and most of this journey were lads who were with. They were going to Vietnam to war. Or with all these lads in a carriage going to Vietnam, and I'm going back to the safety of England. And as you know, quite a lot of Australians went to Vietnam as well, didn't they?
Yes. Yep.
So
we lost 512 over there, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right. I met one lad who was from Montana, because I've been to Montana a couple of times. I wish now I'd have got his address and things like that, see if I could see whether he made it or not, like, you know. But I do know a lot of America. Well, me and my wife done every state of America, because where we live in England, we used to be the American estate, an American based buyers, for which I do work on there as well. And so it's what I call it, you know. So I meet a lot of Americans, and I've got a lot of friends in the States as well, like, you know. And some of them did go to Vietnam as well. Some of them talk about it, some of them don't, you know what I mean? From them,
yeah, the ones you generally see a lot don't talk a lot.
Yeah,
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But it's, but he was, you know, he affected a lot of people. One particular friend, he affected him really, really bad. You know what I mean? His brother lived on Alice, and he affected him really bad. Even today, but great guy. In fact, he drove all the way from Michigan last year to come down to Florida when I went to see his brother, who was my neighbour, and he drove all the way down there, did back. And so, yeah, so it's like on from there.
Now,
So anyway, going back to football,
you also played for a club called Kitchener Kickers before returning to Bradford to take up a coaching role.
What a name!
I did. Yeah, I did. I played for Kitchener Kickers. That was, believe it or not, that was a German team.
Oh,
right. And don't get me wrong, it was great. I mean, I got great. Most of them, nearly all what I worked with German descent. You know what I mean? And you got to understand, when I went to Edmonton, I worked with Germans and Italians. Well, with them, it was a different ball game, because all I wanted to talk about was the Second World War, because it wasn't that many, 1967, wasn't that many years after the Second World War. And some of these guys were still heavily into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I understand, someone told me one time that, like Australia, obviously, when people came to Australia just after Second World War, you know, you had like probably French and Germans everywhere working together. And they said, they all got told, hey, you've got to get on with each other. You know, life's got to get on, you know, forget about what's happened, like. And I can really understand that. And me being born just after the war, like, you know, year after the war, you know, I can really understand that, like, you know.
Yes.
So it's, but going back to the football, go on, ask me about.
I've got some names for you. Let me tell you, I've got some names here, and of course, I'm going to put the name that actually is related to me, the first one, and I'm sure you guys exactly know who it is. Now, you looked after Harry Kuehl, of course, my namesake, of course, and the funny thing about this, Alan, is his initials are the same as my initials. Unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable. Now, what was he like? What was he like in the rooms? Now, all these Harrys, of course, I could be the same as him. Who knows?
Listen, with Harry, look, I have a lot of admiration for him in lots of ways, right? When Australia Rugby League, the Kangaroos used to come over, right? I got them invited up to our training ground, and they used to come and spend a day. Now, unfortunately, Ali, and he came up with something one day. Unfortunately, the press and everybody just did not like him whatsoever.
Ooh,
you know, there's no time for him whatsoever.
Oh boy!
And I think what it is with Ali, right? I'll get this out where to start with, because I know the press are saying, "No, yeah, I remember going there, never talked to anybody." But Ali once said to me, he said, "Look, he said, I'm a really shy person, right?"
Gee.
He said, "I find it very difficult, you know, like me and Kenny, we met each other, didn't we? Straight away, boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? We got loads." But Ali said, "I can't do that." He said, "I just can't make conversation with people." And I think it's a very fine line between being shy and arrogant. But that's how he came over to a lot of the Australian people, and people from whereas the Dukes, well, he was straight middle. In fact, well, who were the prop of Australia Rugby League, and who were the striker for Leeds United? Because the Dukes were that big. You know
oh my God!
You know what I mean? The Dukes were
front row forward. We're talking about here. Yes.
You know what I mean? And honestly, the Dukes were. But going on to Ali, actually, going back to Ali, I'll always remember Ali coming over, and a couple of things, and I thought it was typical Australia to a certain extent. Because, as I said, when at Halifax Rugby League, you remember Jeff Robinson played for Canterbury Bulldog, right? Well, he would have played for Halifax Rugby League.
Gee.
So I got to know some Australians and just way of thinking and that, like, you know. And I think you'll find that when he came over, he was so focused he was going to get in that first team. He came over as a 15-year-old, 16, right? And he was so focused he was going to get in that first team. And I think I was telling you, Kenny, wasn't I, the other week? I always remember a lad who played in youth team with him called Lee Matthews. And I remember him telling me a story. One night time, I must have been doing a game because I did reserves as well as first team. And anyway, him and Ali and all that were down to playing reserves. This is only when, you know, like I said, just a couple of, you haven't been there that long, down to playing the reserves. Anyway, right at the last moment, an international game got cancelled. So Wilkinson, who was manager, said, right, I want the ones that they play international, put them in our reserves tonight. So when McKennigan said to him, oh, Harry, yeah, you're on bench now, you and Lee and that, you're on bench. So Harry just said to his coach, well, why am I on the bench? So he told him, so listen, I'm a better player than him.
Jeez.
So why am I on the bench? Jeez. The only thing is, to make a statement like that, and me and Kenny's talking about it, right? To make a statement like that, all I can say is, within less than a year, he was permanent left back to start with in that first team at Leeds United. Jeez. So I have no problem with that. When someone make a statement, like Kenny keeps making statements to me, when they make a statement, I have no problem at all. I'm just worried, especially when you back it up.
Yeah, I'm just worried, you know, because me and Alan's got a bit of a thing about the top four in the Premier League, and I've tipped Brighton to finish fourth. Gee. Now, if they happen to do that, my only concern is that he's not going to come back and visit his daughter, because he comes a couple of times a year, because he'll not want to come across me.
Listen, pal, what top of ducks that for me, pal? You know, I love it when someone makes a statement, love it, and then they back it up.
Can I ask you a question about, because I mean, Harry Kewell, I mean Viduka's my favourite player, but Kewell was a genius. But the question I've always wondered, at Leeds United he seemed okay from an injury perspective, but when he went to Liverpool and he went to Turkey, he just seemed to be crippled with injuries.
Yeah.
Did you find that at Leeds?
No, I'll tell you what, when he was at Leeds, people forget, as you said, mainly he was thinking, but just towards around about 2000, right, he did have a bad Achilles injury. And we, well, as you know, for the first 7 years, I was first team physio. I was the only physio. Then because I wasn't chartered at the time, I eventually got chartered, right? Then it was all changing. So first of all, Jeff came in, Jeff Ladley. And then when he left, when George Graham came in, a fellow called David Swift came in, who, right, as I mentioned in my book, he came and he went, end of story. And then Dave Hancock came, and Dave was, you know, great. And what we decided at that time, we didn't know whether, you see, one of the things was, as you know, all the players get supplied boosts, don't they? you know, they get the money. But you know, the question was at the time, how good are these boosts? Are these boosts right for that person running? Because remember, you spend nearly all your life wearing a pair of football boots. So that would have been questioned whether it had all been caused by the boost. And of course, a lot of these were all fancy with these big lugs on and things like that. And the question was it the boots that were causing his injury? But he did have a spell. At that time when he did become injured, you know what I mean?
He was never the same. He got the big move to Liverpool, but he was never the same at Liverpool as he was at Leeds. And then Turkey was the same. He never quite. I mean, that run in Leeds United he had, you know, for 3 or 4 years where some of the goals he scored. But when he went to Liverpool, you know, he especially with Champions League, they start him and then they take him off before half time.
Yeah.
You know, all that sort of stuff. You know, but he obviously had some chronic injuries by the time he was at Liverpool. But I was just wondering, did he show any of them?
Like I said, I remember that. I do remember that round about that. And he did think, but it were out a while for that. You know what I mean? And this is when everything got changed, you know. But no, he did have that, like, you know what I mean. But generally, as you said, he did really well at Leeds. I mean, he was just part of that. You know, that youth team of 97, what won Youth Cup in 97, like the Woodgates, the Robinsons, the Kewells, you know, a lot of them, Matt Pale, they all started coming through, you know, so they did quite well, actually, you know, getting in that period, like, you know. Fantastic. And then, of course, David O'Leary, the manager, who I'd obviously spent a lot of time with when he was playing at Leeds, you know. Yeah. So, but go on, anyway, go on, carry on from there.
Yeah, of course, Tony, you and me got to speak about Mark Viduka. Of course, you know Tony. Of course, he went to Croatia. Then he went to. Of course, he was known as a good player at the time. He developed in Australia, of course, Tony, and of course he went to Croatia. He went to Celtic. Then he went to
Newcastle,
and then he came to Leeds.
God, unbelievable. So, Tony, please speak to Alan about these things.
Yeah, it's knowing the genius of, I guess, Viduka and how good he was on holding the ball up and kicking goals out of nowhere, and also knowing the flamboyancy of Kuhl. What was the relationship between those two, I guess, either on the park and or off the park? Because you would have seen that very close up.
Yeah, look, as I said, they weren't the best of, when I say I shouldn't, they didn't hate each other all like that, but they just, I mean, as it pointed out to me, Kuhl was a Sydney boy and Viduka was a Melbourne boy.
Yes.
And that was it. I mean, funny enough, the person who probably most close to Viduka was Jacob Burns. But remember we had Jacob Burns was a good friend. I think, believe it or not, Danny Milosevic were quite friendly with Viduka, right? Which were a bit surprising, you know. And, you know, at that time, I remember coming to Australia, 2002, and we had 6 Australians on the plane, right? Gee. We had, obviously, H and the Viduka, as I said, Jacob Burns, Danny Milosevic, right? And 2 young lads, Shane Cantos-Shilley. I don't know if you know Shane. In fact, I had a coffee with him over there, actually. And a young lad called Jamie McMaster, who eventually I think he played in Scotland, or either England or Scotland, right? And you know, so they were all on the plane. Then when we got there, Tilly Venables had just been made manager, and we picked up Paul Locum and took him back with us, right? Yep. So that was 7 going. That was 7 then at that point.
That must have been a big. That must have been a big paper bag.
When we had all these injuries, we used to have a game of cricket, and they were always England against Australia.
Oh, you know? That'd have been fantastic to see this.
They were like our own ashes.
Oh my God!
So yeah. So
you don't want to mention Venables with over here.
Oh my God! Here we go.
No.
The headaches. I've still got headaches of that. I still got headaches, boys. I'm sorry.
Mate, he left probably one of the best players, an Adelaide City boy, Ivanovic, and he played Steve Horvath. You know, and there was the point you made about Paul Ocon and Horvath. They were all in the stable. They were all going to get moves to, so they were getting played. If Ivanovic had played in the World Cup in both games against Iran, we would have made the World Cup.
Oh yeah, remember that. I think I told you, Kenny, we were playing Barnsley away that day, and I remember listening to it or going down there, you know, to the game when you played Iran. You know what I mean? When you drew at home, didn't you? 2-3, 2-0 up. Yeah, I remember that. We were Barnsley away that day. You know what I mean?
Actually, so, you know, I've just realised, Alan, because obviously you're in Forestville. Alan's just around the corner from me. You need to nick into the Forestville RSL because Robbie Slater sits in one corner. Robbie, you know Robbie from. I've met him actually. He lives he lives just up the road from where my daughter lives in Killarney Heights. Yeah. I see him. He goes in his coffee shop every. So I just seen him just once actually. Well, I've been this time, but I spent a couple of coffees with him. You can have a chat about Blackburn and Kenny Dalglish.
So, because obviously in fact, there were a quiz question on radio. I said to him, a quiz question: who's the only 2 Australians to win a Premiership title in England?
Oh, we know that. We know who they are. I think you know who they are.
Cool. Well, we know it's Robbie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who was the other?
Tell us, Alan, please.
Wasn't Stanley Lazaridis, was it?
No.
Is it? It's football. It's quiz time. Bozza.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Bozza.
Manchester
United. Yeah,
Manchester.
Yeah, they're the only 2 Australians actually.
Absolutely.
It's funny because Mark does a lot of media out here, obviously, but also Jacob Burns. Jacob Burns finished with Perth, Laurie, and he's now doing media work.
Yeah.
I've got to say, Jacob Burns never achieved what he should have. He was a terrific player.
Yes.
He was a really. I mean, he was a sort of Johnny Giles' type. I mean, he was aggressive, but in a good way. He was a quality player.
Listen, he wants to see some at Old Trafford, right? An old lady said, if you ever do that again, you'll never do it kicking another ball for this. David Beckham went past him And then he got to edge of area, he grabbed him from back with his shirt and just pulled him back. Right?
Oh.
So you know what you're going to have next, don't you? Beckham put the ball in top corner at net,
Oh,
didn't he?
my God. I've got,
Before half time.
Yeah.
He should
have got a lot more caps for Australia. He was a terrific player.
I'm going to mention, Alan, and you guys, I'm going to mention these names, and you're going to tell me the biggest character out of the lot. And I tell you, I think the next guy's the biggest character. We're talking about, there's two of them here are big characters, and they're both actors as well. They're bloody both actors. And that's what I can't understand. Does Leeds United do they produce actors after football? I can't believe this. Listen to this.
You know about
Lenny, I'll say the names first. Lenny Jones,
Jones.
Robbie Fowler, Michael Bridges, of course, Bridges, Eric Cantona, Gary McAllister.
Oh, great player. I still keep regularly in touch with Gary.
And I did mention
By
Tony.
the way, on about people going from Leeds to Liverpool.
Yes.
He is an hero at Liverpool.
Fantastic. Yeah. And
well, McAllister, they loved him at Liverpool.
And of course,
and he had a massive impact on with Stephen Gerrard.
Yeah, the biggest move he ever had in his career was going to be assistant manager at Rangers.
Oh my God! Oh my God! And then
Evan Gerrard, he's the assistant there, right?
Oh my God!
Oh yeah. Well, when he was there, actually, he needed a hip replacement doing, and a friend of mine did it in Adiga. It showed everybody thinking just before I came out to Australia. This was 2019. Because what he did, he just had the operation done. I went across to his house in Leeds, just give him some rehab to do, and then the following week, he flew out to Portugal, right? And the surgeon said, what's his name? And Conroy. He said, yeah, you're all right. Take it steady, Gary. So what did he do then? He jumped in his car and he drove to Madrid to watch Liverpool in the Champions League final against Tottenham. Because I watched that at Killarney Heights Football Club. Right? I watched him play at Pottersville, football. I watched up there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Unbelievable.
So that's what he did. And so I think, but no, he what do you call it? Great player. Again, he'll tell you the biggest influence for him was Gordon Strachan. And I think that's one reason why when he's coming to Leeds to play with Gordon.
I've got his name.
Gordon was another. First player to play in Premier League at 40 years old. Gordon Strachan.
Believable. Yeah. I've got his name, and would you believe that's the two next names was Tony DeRigo and Gordon Strachan I was going to mention, and you mentioned him before me. My God, Lenny Jones. Lenny Jones, tell me, please, tell me some stories about this guy, because this guy's he's notorious for a lot of stuff, is that right?
Yeah, look, he was as good as goal at Leeds, and everybody loved him. What I'm just going to say, just going back to my book, Gordon Strachan actually forwarded it for me.
Oh, fantastic.
I hadn't got a clue what I was going to say. He forwarded it for me and he said it how it was, you know what I mean? Because me and him, when we first met each other, was a bit like that, but then eventually we became quite good friends, actually, you know what I mean? So, but he genuinely, he forwarded it for me, I was delighted about that, actually. Because I was going to ask Eddie Gray, but me and Eddie were, like I said, that trip, we were sat next to each other on plane, but me and Eddie, he was a coach and I was a physio, but I wanted somebody who'd actually been the physio for. And of course, I looked after Gordon Strachan for 6 years, at least. So that's what I wanted. And so I was delighted when he said he forwarded the book. I ain't got a clue what I'm going to say, because Gordon, you just never know. Depending what day he's on. I've seen a lot of reporters more or less think, why have I got this job interviewing him today?
Oh my God.
But great professional, great everything about it.
So you, Alan, the clashes and everything you saw in the rooms and things happening at training, there must be that many stories you've got. This is for these names that these mentioned, the names I've mentioned.
Here's one player.
Go on.
Right, here's one player. You just mentioned somewhere there, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Fowler.
Yes, I have. Yes.
I don't think I've even told you this one, Kenny.
Oh, please tell us this. Please tell us something that nobody knows. Please tell us, please.
At Christmas time, I used to always do a quiz. Right, I really begin quizzes. I used to do a quiz for the fans, £40,000.
Beautiful.
I used to do a quiz. Anyway, while I'm going through looking for, questions and things like that, I come across an article about somebody, right? Just slightly got mentioned. And I thought, well, I'll tell you what, so the person involved, I said, look, I didn't know that. I said, do you mind if I used it as a quiz question, you say, right? And they said, yeah, no, you're all right. You're all right. And I'm talking about a very famous soccer player. You know, we're going back now to 2000, 2001. So that Clifford, I put it in. Anyway, I forgot all about it, actually. And then Ladswell got programme in Friggin. And anyway, one of the questions was, what Leeds United player, before you were a footballer, was a ballet dancer?
Oh, no.
See. Right? So,
Jesus.
anyway, I thought, all of a sudden, lads said, hey, come on, who is it? No. You have to wait till next home game and get the answers. You know what I mean? So, anyway, then all of a sudden, Robbie Fowler started. He said, I want the answer. He said, and I'll tell you now, if I don't find out today, I'm not going to play.
Ooh.
He said, I'm not going to get changed, I'm not going to play. I said, come on, because we used to call him Growler, right? He said, come on, bro. Growler, come on. No. Anyway, so he was going on and on and on and on. This is before the game, right, about this. And the player involved, every time we saw each other on the blind side, we used to give it high fives, you know what I mean? Because we bound them up that much, right? And bound them up that much. Anyway, they all started guessing. So, funny enough, you know what the name they came up with? First name they came up with, Harry Kewell.
Ooh.
Right? That's what he was. He's been the ballet dancer.
Oh,
right?
my God.
Right.
Oh, my God.
So that was the first name they came up with. I said, no. Anyway, I'll tell you how it got to. In the end, we got to within about 15 minutes at kick-off. And the chairman, Peter Brisdale, comes in, right? So Robbie straight into him.
Oh.
He said, Mr. Chairman, unless he tells me who that player is, right? He said, I am not going to get changed. I'm not going to play today, right? So he says to me, he said, look, sorry, just tell him, will you? Right, just tell him. And so who do you think it was? Who do you think it was at that time?
Oh, my God.
He's actually been on a programme and said it himself, actually, since then.
My God.
So, just a thing. Right, if I said to you, famous centre-half.
Centre-half.
At Leeds United.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's not Jack Charlton, that's for sure.
Oh, boy.
Whoa, that's a good one.
Any idea, boys?
No idea.
Played for England?
Yes. This is big.
Went to Real Madrid.
No.
No.
Good shout, though. Good shout.
Yeah.
But he had 2 left feet, though. I'm sure it was.
2 left feet. I see.
Played for England. Wow.
Right, I'll give you the big clue now.
Yeah.
And you'll get it straight away.
He didn't have blood on his head at one go.
First one to say it, I'll give you play for Man United.
Okay.
Centre half. Whoa. Man United. And played for Leeds. Oh, gee.
If you said Palace, I'd know.
No. Actually, Alan, no wonder you did all these trivia things down there because nobody could get them right.
Rio Ferdinand.
Rio Ferdinand.
Oh, my God.
He was a ballet dancer before he was a footballer.
Oh, my God.
Brilliant.
Nobody knows this. This is breaking tonight. This is unbelievable.
Well,
a belly dancer. Oh, my God.
I was in Ireland for Gary Kelly's cancer centre doing the book signing. And I mentioned when and funny enough, this young kid said, well, it's Rio Ferdinand. I said, yeah. He said, no. He said, he mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, actually, on the programme. So
belly dancer. Oh, my God, this is big. And by the name Rio Carnival, Lily, you get it, guys. Rio Carnival dancers. Well, there you go. The name Rio rings a bell, doesn't it?
No, listen. On about Vinnie Jones, he stayed at our house about 3 times.
Yes,
because when I live in countryside, it's all shooting and things like that. And he stayed about 3 times at our house. One of them, I felt a bit for him because he'd gone into Mr. Craig's at lunchtime or in late afternoon, and it was obviously this guy he'd been in the army, just wanted to fight with him to get himself on front page of a newspaper and get some money. And then when we found out, I managed to track him down up to my village. He was up there, he was at local pubs, with some friends. So then, we had solicitors come to our house at 10 o'clock at night to get it all sorted out. And then I had to get him into the club. Again, it's a story in the book, actually, so I will give you that one later. But Vinny, believe it or not, he only ever got booked once, right? Will ever play for Leeds United. You know that?
Was that
just one game?
We were only there for 15 months.
Oh, my God.
Right? Wilkins said after we should never let him go, but Vinny said to me, he said, look, you see, the problem was, we won second division championship, and that's when they brought Gary McAllister in.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, you had 2 young kids coming through, and that were David Batty and Gary Speed. He already had Gordon Strachan. You see what I mean? So his last game was Luton away, funny enough, which were nearly on his doorstep where he came from. But he said to me, he said, my personality is too big to be playing in reserves. You know what I mean? And that's how he said. And that's when his mate Bassett came and signed him for Sheffield United. So, but he did win second division championship with us, like, you know, which he had a big input on that, like, you know.
I saw a great Gordon Strachan. It was actually Gordon Strachan telling on Talk Sport. He was telling a story about when he was at Aberdeen and Ferguson was the manager. He said everyone was absolutely so frightened of Alex Ferguson. It was, you know, no one ever get injured, because if you got injured, if he said, "Is anyone injured?" He'd send you to the North Sea at night. Right?
What you just
So what he did was, the minute you get the opportunity, Man United came in, and he was frightened to tell Ferguson.
Yeah.
So Man United came in for the bid, and Ferguson came in one day. He says, "Are you signing with Man U?" He says, "Oh, yeah, boss." He says, "Okay, I'm taking you, you know, along the motorway in the car." So he went there with him, like, and he's in the car and he's doing plenty. The next time so he said, "Oh, I'm getting out. That's great. I'm getting to Man United." So he's up to Manchester United, and he's playing for Scotland. And this is when Jock Stein died and Alex Ferguson took the team over.
Yeah.
And Strachan's in the room, and Alex Ferguson comes in and he says, "Oh, Gordon, I want to ask you something." He said, "I've been offered 2 jobs." and Strachan's looking at him. He's going, "What were they?" He says, "Manchester United and Real Madrid."
Oh, gee.
And Strachan says, "I'd take the Real Madrid job."
Actually, Kenny,
he didn't want him at Man U, right?
Kenny, when you said, Kenny, about, and of course, Kenny, you said about they were all scared of Sir Alex Ferguson as a coach and stuff like that. Mate, I saw that Beckham thing yesterday.
Beckham.
I saw this and the thing, and he turns up. David Beckham, he says, none of you will play in any coloured boots. You're playing in black boots. So guess who turns up with white boots? One training session to go and play a game. David Beckham. David Beckham turns up with white boots. He's not playing. He's not playing. That's it. No, he's not playing. What was the thing about this black?
Forget white boots. I mean,
what was this problem?
I was playing in purple George Best boots.
Oh,
my
God.
What
was the thing about Sir Alex Ferguson saying you're not playing in any coloured boots? And here comes Beckham turning. He's not playing. He's not playing this week. No, he's not. That's it. Stuff him. What is this? What is this stuff?
What I'm going to say to you.
Yeah.
Was that 6 years ago we did a video. They got me involved in it. I'll tell you why, because I asked her, well, why do you want me involved? And it was about when we won second division championship, first division championship. And they did a DVD. In fact, Morris, his friend, he picked it up last week, didn't he? He's seen it. And it was mainly about that with, and they had like Vinny on it, Gordon Strachan, Mel Sterling, you know, all the things. And it was mainly about everybody talking, because I said Aidan Edmund who did it. I said, what do you want me on it for? She goes, well, you're the only one that's got a memory about every game, about everything at Leeds United. He said that all you did was just spark everybody else off on the, you know, on some of the incidents about what happened, you know, during that time. I thought it'd just be at the end, actually, but more or less at the beginning with it all.
Just tell everyone what it's called. It's on YouTube. What's it called?
Can You Win?
Can You Win? So on YouTube. Any
Leeds United supporter, it's funny. Got Eddie Gray on, we got loads of people on. You know.
Can You Win? It's
Can You Win? Yeah.
Fantastic.
And Gordon talks about, one of the reasons why I brought him, he's saying that, Gordon talks about what happened when they left Leeds United, when they left Man United. And all he was in bed, right? He was in bed. And there's a knock on the door at 7:30 in the morning, right? He said, so I went and answered it. I'm still in my pajamas, but I went and answered it. And it was Fergie. He said, right, you're out of here now. Leeds United and Sheffield Wednesday want to speak to you, so you should go down there and have a chat with them. And I went back to bed, and I woke up later on. I thought, was I dreaming there? Was that a dream? Was that Fergie actually my outfit? 7:30 in the morning. And his son, Gabby Nuggs, now a coach at Celtic, with Ali Kewell. They're both coaches at Ali Kewell. And He said, "No, Dad, you won't dream." He said, "Even I seen Alice Ferguson, like, you know what I mean?" So, yeah, and that's how he left Man United. That's how it all came about. You know.
Here's one quick one for you, Al.
Yeah.
But you correct me if I'm wrong. Was it Gordon Strachan that had that famous interview when the reporter said, "Gordon, can we have a quick interview?" He said, "Yeah, sorry, quick comment." No, yeah, quick comment. And he said, "Yeah, velocity." And he went off. He said, "Can we have a quick word?" He said, "Yeah, velocity." And then he walked off.
Honestly, when you see, you know, like you watch Sky Television and all results are coming in, and they've got all punters there, right? When he was manager at Southampton, I always remembered it, and I'm thinking, and I felt, and when they said, "Oh, so and so's got to interview Gordon Strachan," he just got beat 1-0, right? And they're all like saying, "Thank God it's not me." And they're all like, and so he goes, "Now you go, what do you think today? What do you think went wrong?" And Gordon straight away, "Well, you're the experts, aren't you? You tell me." Right? You know, it was one of them. And every time, "Oh, no, I'm just thinking from there." "Well, you watch it, you tell me, you're always the expert." And you could see me in studio and all going, "Oh my God, he's getting actually bad at it." And like I said, as I said, it was a dream as a manager. When he was Scotland and everything, it was a dream in lots of ways for reporters or for them in studio, because he used to come up with some stuff that, you know, I think, well, if I were, I wouldn't even think about that, like, you know. And it was like with me, you know what I mean? It's some of the laughter and that, like, you know, with him, you know what I mean?
I just need to mention that the only two Leeds United supporters that I know is Morris Springfield and Stefan Kamaz. And Stefan's in Greece.
No, Morris is a top of them, isn't he?
He is, but he's Leeds because of you. He's got a bit of a. Right. So I know
definitely.
But so we have to mention him. And Stefan's definitely. I'll send him a text, and he's on an island in Greece. He'll be listening to this.
I just had a message from him.
Oh, you got a message from him? Good man. Yeah, good man.
Yeah, no, he got there all right. Yeah. No, so because he actually comes from near where James Miller comes from, Horsford in Leeds. Yeah. Because James' family still live up there, like, you know.
And Stefan, for people who are listening, obviously Stefan was on the board of FA. And has a long history in Newcastle and obviously in CEOs and Sydney Olympic. A long history, a very, very long and successful history in the game here.
Yeah, the other thing, you know, and you'll appreciate this more than anything. I think the big problem sometimes is, you know, you live in Australia, you know, Australians what are playing in England, right? And unless they're like an Ali Kuhl or Baduka, people like that, they think, "Oh, well, everybody else said, well, you know, they're not good enough," right? But, you know, when I was out with Shane the other day, Shane Cantor-Shirriff, I think he goes by Shane Shirriff now, like, you know, people forget he had a 17-year career in England. He had 2 promotions and a championship. And at lower levels with Shrewsbury and Burton Albion, he got back to, and I think that's when Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank was the manager. And they won the championship, and then they got promoted the next season. You know, thing. So he had a 17-year career, and like I said, he actually played for Australia under 19s in the World Cup in New Zealand, right? Round about 2000, when they got beaten final by Brazil on penalties. Thing, you know. So you know, it's not necessarily. It's like Jacob Burns. You know, Jacob went to Barnsley, and I think to one or two other places, like, you know. So it's not necessary that. You know, they can still have a great career, even though it's not like at Leeds or Man United or one of the big teams, you know. And he did, you know, any championship wins or get promotion with any team. It showed you that, you know, you got something about you. You know what I mean? And managers believe in you. You know, you got this winning, you know, attitude, really. You know.
Yes.
So, that's right. To Shane, that's right. I love meeting up with him because he's now working like for a steel factory. I think he did a bit of part-time coaching now. I think he had a semi-pro team where they were Bankstown or something about a year or so ago. You know, but and he's been offered a job at Australia FA. They want him to work for them like coaching. You know, but I think it's just down to finances and things like that where the big problem is. You know, but you know, and that's why I always admire people like that. Again, brave enough to come over. Went to the same Westfield school as what Alex Hill went to, Westfield Academy. Yes. And and him and Jamie McMaster both went there, and then they came to Leeds United. So you know, mentioning about Australia people, like, you know.
Is Bridgie gone back to England now?
Sorry?
Michael Bridges gone back to England now, has he?
He has. He's doing a bit. I think he's up at Newcastle a bit, but he's involved down at Leeds quite a bit, like, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
But, you know, Michael was unlucky. I mean, he had about 3 bad injuries, right? And his last one was a ruptured Achilles. And he had an ankle, and then he had because I went to Germany to see Wolfhard with him one time, and then eventually went to see Richard Stedman over in Colorado, right? But I'll tell you what, before I forget, Ali should have mentioned this to you. He should have brought me up on this.
Mm-hmm.
Famous Australian, had trials at Leeds United, 1990, right? Desperate to sign him, but he went and signed abroad somewhere else. 10 years later, right? I'm going to let you tell me what it is now. 10 years later, we're getting Champions League, but before the group stage, right? We have to play like a prelim, you know, like to get into group stage because we finished 4th, right? This person comes up to me and says, "Oh, by the way, I bet you don't remember me, do you?" And when he said his name, I said, "Yeah." I said, "I definitely remember you." So what Australian player, am I talking about? Australian international player.
Bresciano?
Fun?
Bresciano?
No. If I said to you,
I remember
he
this.
turned down Leeds and went to Borussia Dortmund.
Oh, that wasn't that bloody
I
only know one player that went to
Ned
Australia
Zelic.
to play. Ned Zelic, that's right.
Ned
Zelic,
Zelic.
that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Ned Zelic.
Zelic, that's right.
Yeah. And then he finished up at Munich 1800.
Yes, that's right. He got a few bad injuries as well. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Ned Zelic, they were desperate to sign him when they were young lad. And
Gee.
Mick Hennigan used to ring him up nearly every day in Australia, trying to
Fantastic.
get him. But
You
he went to
never get Ned Zelic. You never get Ned Zelic and Paul Ocon in the same team.
Oh, my God, mate.
I'll tell you that.
Hey, you never get Mark Duke.
Mate, I tell you what, mate.
You know that?
Ooh.
Because when he played against the Duke, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
As I said, don't talk to me about that.
Oh, boy. Alan, I want to ask you about the game. Were you at that game where Viduka and Kuhl destroyed Arsenal? Were you there that day?
No, I wasn't actually, because at that time, I didn't travel to that when they won 3-2, you mean, don't you?
Yes. And Wenger's and Arsene Wenger's face was like he didn't know what to. He didn't even want to look at the camera when it went to him. That was amazing.
Yeah. By the way, on about Mark Viduka, he has got to be the most laid-back Australian I've ever come across.
Oh, yes.
Honestly. I used to say to him, "You're not Australian," because understand, I dealt a lot with Australian rugby league. Because I stayed with Adam McDoodle for 5 days one time down at Knox Point, right? Because I got to know Adam. And he's got to be the most... I used to say to him, "You're not Australian, you're a creation." I am captain of Australia, things like
right.
Honestly, the big man. I don't know if you read the story in my book, actually, Kenny, right? About this shows up with him. Great fellow, though. We were with him last year in Croatia. He sorted me and my family out with a boat trip on a pirate boat in Dubrovnik, right, last year. But I don't know if you've read this story yet. I don't know how far you got from the book. But I've got to tell you this story. What happened was, very rare it happened. But anyway, the manager had a meeting one Sunday morning, right? So just for a warm down. Must have been having a game. So they're all nearly all out on the pitch, right, at 4 parts. All of a sudden, the big man drives in, parks his car, and he's got a tracksuit on, right? So he's got a tracksuit. And all he did was jumped over the fence, run up and down with lads, you know, thing. Then, right, it's all over, just to walk down, back in his car, and it turns out he had his pyjamas on underneath. And he went straight back to bed. He went straight over and went straight back to bed.
He's so laid back. He's so laid back. When they interview him on TV, you should see how quiet he is. What do we need to... Yeah, we got to fix this and do this. He's so relaxed.
Yeah, but me.
Well, he opened a coffee shop in Croatia, didn't he?
He's got one.
On a boat.
He's got one.
Knowledge game, that's when I got his telephone number again, because I'd lost touch.
We'd like to get him... Alan, have you got his phone number? You got his phone number? We'd like to get him on our show, actually. We've tried that many times to get him on here. He doesn't even talk to me at all. I don't know what's wrong with me. My God, man.
I texted him 2 weeks ago. It was his birthday.
Yeah. 2
weeks ago, no, maybe less. It was his birthday, I think, October 9, something like that. So I texted him. And I also texted him after Croatia did so well in the World Cup as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I said, fantastic, pal. You know what I mean? And he, to be fair, he always gets back to me. You know what I mean? And so,
Yep.
You've got a stand named after him out here for Melbourne Knights, the Croatian club in Melbourne. Yeah, there's a grandstand named after Mark.
Oh, really? Really? Yeah.
Now, Alan, I want to speak to you about someone here right now. Of course, Eric Cantona. You tell me, did he speak English when he took? Now you're smiling. You get a bit of a smile there. Eric Cantona, was he a character down there, or what was he?
No. Listen, Eric, I'm very, very fortunate. That when I say fortunate, what had happened was, it actually, people forget, they went to Sheffield Wednesday before Leeds, right? He's at Sheffield Wednesday, and he played in the five-a-side. And then afterwards, the manager, who was, as John Shilling used to call him, Tricky Trevor Francis, right? Well, I said to him, right, I'll sing you a five-a-side. I want you now to have a trial 11-a-side. Are you talking at the Cantona? Not only that, it'd already been told for about 2 million to Marseille and all this, right? And obviously, you know, it had all gone pear-shaped because of all the trouble he had, you know, with fighting and things like that in France. So Eric Stark said, what? Me have a trial? Anyway, at that point, we just lost Lee Chapman, right? He fractured his wrist. And so we're like, can we get... So Howard Wilkinson had a word with Michel Platini and also Glenn Hoddle about him, you see. So anyway, so they invited him up. I did get told when his agent, Bernard, right, who I got to know, I did get told afterwards, when he seen what his wages were at that time, I think Bill Plummerby, or I think, said, you think he can knock a couple of notes off his end of his wages, what he's getting? You know what I mean?
Well, he tried to knock a Palace fan's head off, didn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, like you say.
He jumped the fence.
He
jumped the fence, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't like him.
But listen, talking about the time I spent with him. So I had to do his medical the next, you know. So he signed. I did his medical. Now he hated the report for some reason. We had this report on him back from Switzerland. Well, obviously, it's only one person he trusted, and he was doing translating, right? Although I can tell you now this, right? I told David Ole, he could speak English a lot earlier than what people think.
Ooh.
He never let on to anybody. He didn't let on to anybody for 2 years. But I used to go to his house, and when I come out, I'd say, Eric, my Yorkshire accent, you know, Yorkshire English, your French English, great conversation, right? You know, great conversation. Well, and but no, and he just said to this guy, he said, will you tell Alan to thank him very much for being so warm to me, you know, during that, which I thought was nice. And then next day, he gave me his French international shirt, what he wore against Iceland, when they won 3-0 in each scored twice. And Miss Bernardi agent said, Alan, that's the shirt he actually wore, you know, because it wasn't into all that. Oh, it's a shirt. That's it, you know what I mean?
I'm offended. You haven't asked me for one of my shirts.
Oh, no. But listen. Someone said it was mainly reserved at Rangers on it.
Actually, you're closer to the truth than you realize.
Oh, boy.
But no, listen. But you were one of them, you're asking about Eric. And one of them guys, unfortunately, Howard Wilkinson could never take to him. He couldn't handle that collar up, things like that. And I don't know if you know, in Australia, I mean, again, I wrote about it in the book anyway, but a lot of people know the story anyway. And when it all came to an end, right, and there were other incidents, again, what I wrote about, but when it came to an end, I'm in with the manager's office, me, Mick Hennigan, and Bill Probably, who was like running all the finances for it. And he made a telephone call to Man United, Bill Probably, and said, oh, listen, any chance of getting Dennis Irwin? Because Dennis actually started his career at Leeds United, but Billy let him go, and he went to Oldham, and then he went to Man United. Any chance of getting Dennis Irwin, you see? So obviously, I got the feeling that Ferguson must have been in with Martin Edwards, chairman of, you know, of Man United. Because next thing, what they said, oh, excuse me, we heard that all's not well with you and the Frenchman, you see, at Leeds. Well, that was on the Monday, and then the next time for Man United on the Thursday. So he got on the Thursday. But where it was more than anything, everybody's going crazy. What, we let him go for only £1 million.
Gee.
But where they were really shitting themselves, Leeds United, they expected Eric, and they were liable to do it, jump on his bike and go back to France, and they'll lose £1 million what they paid for him. So that's where they probably said they were just happy to get the money back. You know what I mean? At the time. And that were really what it were all about, really. But no, there was no way, and I told it loads of times, there was no way him and Wilkinson would ever, whereas Ferguson, you see, had sussed it all out. And he knew, and you've heard all the funny stories from Man U, like when players that go to a black tie job and it turns up in a fancy dress, with these Hawaiian shirts type of thing.
Yep.
And all players are going in. Oh, I think Bruce must have said, because he's still one at Leeds, or Alex, and he said, oh yeah, he said, my dad said, Mr. Ferguson, boss, he said, surely he's going to find him for that. You know what I mean? We're all black tie. I think Ferguson said, listen, someone, you can play as good as him, you can wear one of them as well.
Oh my God. That sounds like the white boots thing too.
Yeah.
Listen, I tell you.
If you can play as good as him, you can wear one of them.
Oh my God. Let me ask you now, this is a strange thing that's come to my head right now. Hang on for a sec. You were at Leeds, right? You had a lot of Manchester United players coming there. You had Liverpool players coming there.
Yeah.
How did they see each other when they turned up to Leeds? I can imagine the byplay between the two clubs and these guys coming together and playing at Leeds. What was it like?
There were never, funny enough, you're right, there were never ever any problems about Liverpool players coming. Yeah. Right? In fact, when we won Championship, it was Liverpool who beat Man United for us to win the Championship. And I had to go across with reserves on the Tuesday night after that. And Wilkinson just said, listen, a couple of cases of champagne in there, make sure Ronnie Moran and Roy Evans and that get the case of champagne from me. Right? Because we won the Championship. No, never. I mean, Jim Beglin. I mean, Jim had quite a few injuries, and Jim was great. And me and him used to work together in gym, and we'd be biking. And Liverpool that day, this is 1989, 1990. He said, it's still the Shankly way. He said, I know exactly what they're doing today. He said, oh, today they're doing that, today they're doing that. Without him knowing, because they just did everything still the Shankly way at Liverpool at that point, before Graham Souness went in. And that's when they ended up getting a lot of injuries, because he changed everything, you know what I mean? So, but no, you're on about, I think it's been mentioned before. He told me a story about Liverpool, like Ronnie Moran and all them. He said, I got this ankle injury. He said, honestly, my ankle was 3 times the size of what it should be. So I said to Ronnie on Monday, I said, Ronnie said, I think I'm struggling for Saturday. Because he didn't have no physio. He just had a part-time physio coming 2.5 days a week, right? He said, we got to Friday, I mean, I'm still struggling. I'm struggling running, doing anything. So I said, look, Ronnie, I've no chance of money. So Ronnie just turned around to me, he said, listen, Jim, you see him over there? I said, yeah. He's been knocking on the manager's door for the last 6 months. Yeah. I said, if he gets that number 3 shirt tomorrow, he said, it might be 6 months before you get it back again. So I said, what do you do? I said, I played, didn't I? I said, how did you go? He said, we beat Ipswich 3-1. He said, don't ask me how I got through the game. He said, I had to play. He said, that was the only way. And it was true. If you wash your shirt at Liverpool, you never knew when you were going to get it back again.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
in that era. Yeah, I know, great. Jim Beglin, great professional, great. You know what? And because he has a remarkable record of Jim. That he won first division title, second FA Cup. He won second division with Leeds United. He won 2 central leagues, right? He got 15 Irish international caps, and I think he played just over 100 league games. That were all because he had that bad injury, didn't he? At Liverpool that time. Everton.
Yeah, I just want to.
But all that there, all them what he won, and he only played about 100 league games.
Yeah,
these are things like to be with them people and with them, and I think me just being a flag and a curver coming off the streets of Bradford, and end up with all these and being involved with them all. You know what I mean? It's like it's everybody. Because as I said, I was never a Leeds United supporter, right? But when you work there somewhere like Leeds, it becomes massive. It just becomes they had a surprise 60th party for me 17 years ago, right? And my wife got up and there were about 150 people there with no telling Leeds, and my wife got and said, "Well, everybody knows, don't they? It only matters to one person. It's certainly not me. That's for sure." You know what I mean?
Can I just say to Kenny and to Kenny and Tony here, of course, we dream of being in places where you've been. We dream of being around people like this. You need to keep writing books. I think you're the best sellers you're going to have with these characters of the game that you've met in England. And we want to mention right now, of course, we know what's happened the last few days. Somebody's asked me to put this out too. Actually, the Oracle of the Game has asked me, and you know who the Oracle of the Game is, of course. I have to mention that Bobby Charlton's passed away a few days ago, guys, and we're all very saddened. Of course, one of the greatest players of the game in England. Of course, did you meet him at all? Did you end up talking to him there? Of course. Alan.
I'll tell you on about Sir Bobby Charlton, right? When the greatest person probably, and I know you're all going to say Billy and Johnny and all that, probably the greatest person ever to play for Leeds United. And I used to have fish and chips with him on a Friday when Billy was manager, and that was John Charles.
John Charles, by left, absolutely.
Who actually went to Juventus. Yes. Now you've got to understand, you know what Italian football was like back in the 50s and 60s, right? John Charles, his record was good, just under 100 goals in 155 appearances, right? But what was so special about that was that one year, because what he used to do with Juventus, now when he went there, because I said to John, because there's not that many photographs or films about him, because he didn't have him in them days, you know. And I said to John, I said, what did you, how long were you at Juventus? I said, I was there 5 years. And we won three titles and 2 cups in the 5 years, right? Which, and the year before he went there, they finished second from bottom in league. They signed him and a guy from Argentina, little small, handy lad. But one year they had, because this is what they used to do, right? Juventus. One year they had a World 11 side. Number 9, John Charles. Number 5, John Charles. Right? Because what Juventus used to do was, right, they used to start him off, he scored a goal, and in the second half, to put him in centre half, so the opposition didn't score. And that's how they used to do it, right? And so that's why he got voted the best centre half in the world and the best centre forward in the same team.
I think people that know a little bit of history, he's probably the most successful British player that ever went to Italy. I mean, Dennis Laws, Greaves, lots of them went there and came back very quickly. Lineker's, Mark Hughes, none of them really even, there's been...
You're right. The thing is, he's been voted, remember Platini's been there, he got voted the greatest overseas player ever to play for Juventus.
Yeah.
Then we've got Platini there and loads of people, But what I'm going to say, what I'm coming to with Sir Bobby Charlton, at his funeral in 2004, right, Dennis Law were there. I want to read Dennis Law with her because him and Joe Baker, when they played for Torino, they were in a car smash. And even though like Juventus were like the rival team, John Charles was the first one at the hospital to make sure they're all right. You know what I mean? And Dennis Law, because Dennis Law's an hero of mine. You know what I mean? I pulled him since he was about 16 years old when they were at Huddersfield Town, and he would then go and second introduce me to him, and then I made sure that Paul Reaney introduced me again to him after the thing. But what I'm going to say was, after the funeral, we had a Leeds United coach. And both Sir Alex Ferguson and Sir Bobby Charlton were sat on the coach, on our Leeds United coach, right? We got into the tunnel because Eddie did a speech, Eddie Gray did a speech, because he'd never seen John play. We're in the tunnel, right? All the crowds are over in East Stand, the big East Stand. Right? And what they did, they had the earth go around the ground, right? And stop in front of the East Stand. We're in the tunnel. And Eddie said, come on, Sir Alex, come on, we're going over there, sit over there. And Alex said, no chance am I sitting with Leeds United supporters, I'll get absolutely battered. You know what I mean? He said, no. He said, you're coming. And Alex Ferguson went and sat in the East End with all the Leeds United supporters and Bobby Charlton. You know what I mean? That's how big a... The other great name at that time, for me, the 2 greatest at that time, were John Charles and Duncan Edwards at Man United. For me, them were the 2 greatest players. Me being brought up and at that time,
Duncan Edwards would probably have gone on to be one of the greatest players.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Well, Bobby Charlton always said, greatest player he ever was involved with were Duncan Edwards, what I mean? And I think that was... But that just sums up, this is where, even Leeds United thing, this is where the respect what they have for someone like... And unfortunately with John, unfortunately became, I won't say a pauper, but he was obviously, he never, a lot of problem with a lot of people in them days. What a great player, great name. But Eddie Gray told me that even though it was 50 years after he played for Juventus, because he was really, it were on hard times. Juventus used to send him a cheque every month to keep him going.
Gee, unbelievable, gentlemen! I have some information here.
50 years. I have 50 years.
I have
some people on the Juventus board used to play football, play at Juventus with him. Who had successful businesses. But Eddie said they still sent him a cheque every month to keep him going.
I have sorry guys, I'll stop you. I have some information here in front of me. This is our sponsor, of course, Alan, and I'll tell you what he says here. Much talk of Manchester United, nothing about the club's greatest. Well, we just would say that as he brought this in, and he said to me, greatest player that has just passed away, Bobby Charlton, and I'm so pleased to have watched him play many times along with his last game at Stamford Bridge. So our sponsor, David Ben, who's a Tottenham supporter, had seen the last game, which is a very historical game, that last game that Bobby Charlton played. That's a credit to you to watch him, David. Fantastic. That was fantastic. His last game.
I've got to say, I've got a couple of good friends of mine, Johnny McKee and a couple of other lads, actually played with him at Blacktown.
Yes.
Bobby Charlton.
Yeah.
He played at Blacktown. So did Kevin Keegan. And so did Kevin Keegan. Played Blacktown. So, and that was in 78 or 79.
79. Actually, Kenny, I've written this down, exactly what you just said. And guess who's in the picture? Guess who's in the picture with Bobby Charlton kicking the ball? The cat's in there. Peter Catholis is in there. It's on his site there, and he's kicking the ball, and the cat's in the far distance there.
Thought I'd put St. George Blacktown.
Yeah, St. George. And I thought I've checked. I did my research on that too. What you just said.
In actual fact, cat's got that put in there. He actually, someone superimposed them into that picture.
You're joking. Oh my God.
Cat, I'm only kidding.
Oh God, please. I'm going to say, please explain. Like, what's her name would say in Canberra? Please explain. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
okay.
Please explain.
What a career he had, Bobby Charlton. What a career, guys, and to win that, that World Cup. That World Cup.
I always remember going at pictures, a young kid, right? And they were doing an advert for Ovaltine.
Yes.
And this is like 1959 or, even 57 before the thing. And he used to do adverts because that's how big a name even he became then, like, you know what I mean? And we're doing adverts for Ovaltine, It's, he's, I've really met him that many times, I've obviously seen him a few times and everything. But I mean, one of the best ones I ever wore were where it made me feel really good. As I said, John Stiles was at Leeds United, and we're still good friends, John. I was at a charity do with him about a couple of months ago before they came out here. But his dad, right? His dad. He used to talk about his dad's Uncle Johnny and that, like, But anyway, one day I'm doing reserves and we're playing West Brom, right? And it turned out his dad was the coach at West Brom, right? And he's a guy, he's a guy I always wanted to meet, like you can imagine, And I'm in the West Brom changing room before the game talking to like old David Cork, who I think it's time from Huddersfield, but he just came on his own. So I'm chatting with him, and something, the door opened, Nobby Style walked in and just gone, "Hey Alan, how are you? Great to meet you." Well, let's put it this way, I went from 5'6" to 10'6". In fact, I never went through ceiling. I couldn't believe it, They actually knew all that. Alan, our job told me all about you, you know what I mean? And honestly, I've never ever, you know what I mean? Another great player. And obviously they were all at Man United together.
Now we have another gentleman here putting all this stuff right here, and this is very historical because Joe Italiano from Perth is sending in stuff like Bobby Charlton played in the night series with Perth Missouri in 1980. These are things that we didn't even know that Bobby Charlton did here. Kenny, of course, you guys, and of course Tony, we didn't know this. And all these things are coming through now that Bobby actually travelled the country playing in exhibition games, which is amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing, Alan.
Yeah, it was the time, at that time we had Kevin Keegan came, Mick Shannon came, Charlie George, Ralph Coates,
what names?
Francis Lee,
what names?
George Best. We had them all. We had them all.
What names?
I mean, the sad thing, and God rest his soul, Bobby Charlton. Jeff Foster's the last one left.
He is. I just read that. Yeah.
Last one left.
Yeah. But like nobody really fought for him because for 5 years, and this is what his son on about moment with dementia and that, right? For 5 years, he was in a nursing home. He didn't know anybody. Nobody Styles. You know what I mean? And then he passed away, as I said, he passed away. But John, that's right, John's doing it because there's hell on about the PFA should be doing more for this.
Yes.
They're probably not, and you know this well, though. They probably had in them days. I mean, you look at some of the footballs, right?
I know.
I mean,
When they had laces in them, especially.
Oh, and laces, yeah. Well, when I was a kid at school, it was my job on a Friday to take the ball to the local shoe shop, get it dubbined, right? Get it dubbined, and a new lace put in. And you know what, like, if you had a lace, it always left you an imprint on your
like that.
There it is. There, Alan. I tell you what.
Alan would know. We lost Gordon McQueen.
Yes.
Very similar circumstances.
Again, Gordon, big Yogo. You know what I mean? Again, I met him a couple of times, but like I said, if you guys could have been at Leeds when Billy Bremner was manager, or some of the stuff, you know what I mean? I've got to tell you this one. I'll tell you, it's in my book because I couldn't write. And plus, it did happen. He come in one day, did Billy. He sat down smoking his fag, and Styles is on the thing. I'm treating Styles. He said, Styles, he said, yeah. Did he ever tell you that story about your Uncle Johnny in Yugoslavia that time? I said, no, what's that, Gaffer? He said, we're in Yugoslavia, we're playing against his team, right? Anyway, this fullback, and he's trying to keep 7 balls out of Eddie Gray, right? So anyway, second half starts, your Uncle Johnny gets the ball, and all of a sudden, the ball just run away from him, right? Now, your Uncle Johnny's never lost control of the ball in his life. Next thing is, this fullback comes sliding in. Next thing is, boom, straight on his leg, right? Another broken leg, another career finish. As they're carrying the fella up on the stretcher, he goes up to this guy and said, hey, you. He said, nobody kicks Eddie Gray, okay? So, his career finished, and that was it, like, you know what I mean?
Mate.
But he wrote an article, read what I'm saying, he wrote an article about it, how many people he actually did. And in fact, the day he did it, it was just after the FA Cup, the season after, when we got beat by Coventry. And we're playing Coventry reserves away, right? And by that time, Norman Hunter had come on coaching staff, because Norman was fantastic. To work with Norman Hunter. I mean, he was one of them great sportsmen, great snooker player, great golfer, great. And he used to say to me, look, Al, he said, I couldn't play today, the game's too quick. I said, Norman, you did adjusted. Because he was the first player to win the PFA award in 1974, were at Norman, right? And because at that time, he thought Ian Callaghan were going to win it, because he was a more consistent player. But they said Rebby told me 2 weeks before that I'd won it. You know what I mean? So, but anyway.
He wouldn't win a boxing match with Francis Lee, that's for sure.
Well, of course, that's the other thing, isn't it? That's the other thing. But in fact, I went home and when we got watching Man City one day, and the first person to come down steps with Francis Lee, I've gone, oh my God. Anyway, by that time, they were big buddies. Hey, Tommy, how are you? And by that time, we were big friends, actually. Yeah. But anyway.
The dirtiest game, Alan, and you will probably seen it a million times, the dirtiest football game I've seen in my lifetime is Leeds United Barcelona, the semi-final.
Oh, you said that, didn't you?
There wasn't a tackle below the waist. Yeah. And I'm talking even Johan Cruyff was over the ball. And the craziest thing, there wasn't a red card up until the 81st minute, and they sent Gordon McQueen off for dissent. It was just like, you got to watch this. It's on YouTube.
A little bit of talking.
Some of the tackles.
Well, did any of you lot see the replay of Leeds Chelsea 1970 at Old Trafford? I don't know if you saw the first match when they played at Wembley. They drew 2 apiece, and they had the Horse of the Year show on, right? The year week before, when the pitch were horrendous. Yeah. But that match, Eddie Gray just run circles around David Webb. Anyway, in replay, they put Chopper Alice at right back in the centre, and they played Webb in centre, right? So, of course, the first tackle, what you're on about, is like waist high, one put straight through Eddie, Chopper, straight through Eddie. Anyway, a couple of years ago, Eddie's at a charity do, and who comes and taps him on the shoulder? But Chopper Alice. And the first word he said to him, he said, oh, Eddie, he said, can I have my stud back from back?
Oh, my God. I tell you what.
A bit of trivia for you too, also, just for the viewers. Basically, Leeds United were never actually called Leeds United in the early days. It was Leeds City.
Leeds City.
Yeah, 1904.
Yeah, to 1919.
Yeah, because Palace was formed in 1905.
Oh,
So,
right.
yeah.
You know, and what it was all to do with, I think it was to do with payments under the counter, what they got out for. You know what I mean? And then they reformed in 1919 as Leeds United. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it was just, right, over the year, obviously, 2019 were 100 years, like. You know,
Yeah, well, they got rid of tables and just created motor-side cafes for that.
Guys,
and that's why they changed bags, see-through bags to brown paper bags, so you can see the money through.
Hey, by the way, Kenny, you want our game where you at Ibrox when McAllister scored his first minute into European Cup?
No, I was here.
Honestly, that was the strangest ever because no away supporters were allowed in.
I know.
Right?
I know.
Gary Matt scored his first minute top corner, and you know something? They want the sound. It's like, what's happened? Has he scored? You know what I mean?
No,
it was like it was the weirdest thing ever. Honestly, they want a whisper, they want the sound, nothing. And we were thinking, has he scored? What's happening? You know what I mean? Honestly, it was the most unreal thing with that, like, you know what I mean?
It's amazing.
We went to Ibrox.
Alan,
you know
Alan, your stories. This could go on for absolute years. You are encyclopedia of the game in England.
Yeah. Well,
we need to get you on again. We got to get you back again. I'll tell you right now. We need to get you back again.
Well, wait.
I'm back out again, and I'll leave in 2 weeks' time, and I'm back out again at the end of January.
So we can get you back again. Is that right?
Oh yeah, no problem. Anytime. Yeah.
We want to pick Kenny. We need to do some homework here. We need to pick stuff out of his book. His book.
His second book, he's got to put me in it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
Hey, Kenny, you'd have been in it, but I didn't. As you know, I've got knowledge.
What a story!
And also, like when I first started coming, well, from 2015, because my daughter moved out here in 2008. Frank used to come, Frank Gray, Eddie's brother. He was living out here. So we used to always have coffees down at St Leonard's, meet up there. And then he got involved in that. That's how I met Mozza. He got involved, Frank got involved, he got me involved with the team doing running sessions and one thing and another with his team. So that's how I got back. But it was a funny ever. Because me and Frank got started, right? And he said, right, what are you doing? I said, well, we're going to do this running. He said, what? Well, it's pre-season, isn't it? Oh, he said, we don't usually run. We don't. Well, how do you get fit? Because you run. You know what I mean? Because you. And Mother couldn't believe it. Oh, you got to do all these running sessions? Yeah. You got to get fit, haven't you? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah,
Frank was actually then. You know, Frank has a great record. You know that he played European Cup twice. He played for Leeds in '75 against Bayern Munich.
And then lost.
And then he won it with Nottingham Forest against Hamburg in 1980. So he's actually won the European Cup and and lost it obviously with Leeds, like, you know. But, Frank was a great player.
Alan was talking about Morris. And Morris he's a sort of Arsene Wenger of the Northern Beaches over here. So the club he's got at Beacon Hill. He got Alan to come and do the pre-season. Oh. Now, all the players now keep saying, when's Alan coming back? and Morris keeps saying, it'll probably be January. He says, because we're going on holiday when he's here, because that last session, it took us 8 weeks to recover.
Oh man! You know what? I would love to have taken my equipment, my production equipment, and watch you do things there that we don't even know about. The things that you would do in England, completely different to the people over here. And I want to ask you one question here right now too. Did you, out of all these years at Leeds, was there any manager that they all were scared to walk into his office when he called them in? You must have had an infamous manager there at one stage that actually wanted to sit down and he's crazy. Anyone that you remember that you went into the office and had an argument with?
Well, I had an argument with.
Did you?
Anybody had an argument?
Really?
Where?
Oh, look. The one person they really respected, and also, like I said, Gordon Strachan had I suppose with Wilkinson,
Howard.
But Wilkinson, nobody dare take the piss when he was manager. Like, really daft stuff, really, nobody think from there. He did have, but also, I say, he had Gordon as well. But where I thought it was very, very clever, and I'm surprised managers don't do this, where I thought it was very, very clever, if he were going to go in that dressing room, and we'll go sort people out. He always made sure the captain, knew beforehand that he was never going to get in an argument with someone who's got a powerful personality like Gordon Strachan was. He'd have Gordon in his office, tell him what we're going to do. If you've got any problems with it, tell me now, because I don't want it in front of the thing. So it were, thing from there. So it's and then it was all sorted out. But like I said, Gordon also sorted a lot of things out in that dressing room. And Billy Johnson in his own way. It's what I call. Because I know Mick Hartford was on this podcast in England, and they were about when Vinny was captain of Wimbledon.
Yep.
He said, and he was the captain. He sorted that dressing room out, all the time. As I said, Leeds got him to do that, but it turned out that Gordon was the main person, actually. He was the main man. And I think you need it. I think this is a problem sometimes with a lot of teams. And I haven't seen anybody since really at Leeds who's actually been dominant in that dressing room. And I can imagine like James Miller. I reckon James, Henderson, and Van Dijk run the dressing room at Liverpool for all that success. If there's anything needed sorted out, I don't even remember a few years ago when I think Liverpool lost about 6 matches on the bounce, right? And they're still finishing Champions League. And I think you'll find, it won't Klopp, you'll probably find it with the people in that dressing room. Well, I mean, Billy used to say that about with Rebbe. He said, we lost the game, forget about the manager. He said, we sorted it out. And he said, it was like, when I say it was a split dressing room, Billy had his lot of cronies and Giles had his cronies. But he said, once we went down that tunnel, we were a unit. You know what I mean? You kick him, and 10 others kick you. You know what I mean? So, that kind of thing at the time, and it was a unit. Even though, at times there might have been, he might have had these mates and he might have his age, so, yeah. So, it's, that's it,
So,
anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah. Before we go, what I want to ask you is now, Kenny actually was coached under a certain Manchester United infant. Here we go. Kenny, don't knock it.
Go on.
Tommy Docherty. Did you ever get to meet Tommy Docherty in England?
No. A bit before my time.
Okay, yeah. So he was over here, and I heard the stories from Kenny as well. No, Frank, to be able to hear more about him in England would be fantastic to find someone, actually, but that's the thing.
All right.
You're trying to talk to me, Harry, are you?
Yeah, I get you, Kenny. Well, I know some of the stories you said. I know, and what was it that day that you said? He said to you, "Get out there and kill them, boys," and that was his speech before the game. Is that right? Get out there and kill them, boys. Is that it? I couldn't believe that what you said to me.
I mean, it was great entertainment, but couldn't coach a paper bag.
Okay.
Anyway,
and that's what I know. How did he coach Manchester United? Like, how he did that?
Mate, he never lasted anywhere. He relegated more teams than he won one cup with the FA Cup with a team that Dave Sexton had really put together. Right? He destroyed the Chelsea team that was fantastic. He destroyed the Derby County team that was fantastic. He relegated the Queen's Park Rangers team that was really good. He relegated the Derby County team that was really good. Preston, he left us and went back to Preston, and I don't know if they get relegated, but they were pretty close. Jeez. So, I mean, it's how you perceive.
Yes. Somebody's ringing you somewhere. So who's ringing, guys?
Somebody's trying to get me on the other phone. I don't want to turn out because I don't want to lose you lot.
That's right. No worries. It's fine.
The ringing from England. Man, you're right. Didn't Tommy Doc once say? He said, "Well, I did tell him that I'd take him out of the league."
Yes.
He
Really?
said, that's what he said. I told him to take him out of the league, but I didn't tell him we were going to get relegated.
Oh my God! So he was like that.
Look, he was great company, and at my club at Sydney Olympic, the Greeks for a little period of time get caught up in the theatre of it all. He was a Manchester United. I mean, the fact that you manage Manchester United, that carries you for you get so far with that, but at some stage, you've got to pay the piper.
Yeah.
At some stage, you've got to deliver. I mean, we know that managers. There's only one guarantee. And back in the days, there were managers, no coaches. The only one guarantee is that at some stage you were going to get sacked.
Oh yeah.
But he made a habit of it on a regular basis. But as I say, great company. Didn't like Scotsman. Hated because of.
Well, he got rid of Dennis Law, didn't he?
Got rid of Dennis Law. Willie Morgan sued him. Paddy Crerand. He had a fight with Paddy Crerand. And he even got rid of George Best. But Willie Morgan sued him for defamation and won the case. You remember? Look.
By the way, a story about your favourite person, Terry Venables. Right.
Oh, Terry. Oh, boy.
No, it was a Christmas party. I wasn't there actually, but what happens is the manager usually takes the staff out and all this, and usually sorts it all out. He sorts it out, pays for it, and anyway, apparently they went out in Harrogate, and he's with them, and he says, so the secretary in Sylvester must have said, Gaffer, about the bill and that. Oh yeah. You sort it out and then come and see me on Monday. You see. So he gives them thing, and you can imagine, everybody's getting the free drinks, everybody's getting this or the bill runs into a few crowds. And then on Monday he goes to see him, and he said, "Oh, Gaffer, about the do on Saturday night, Friday night. Oh yeah." He said he got this wad out. He said a pig would have choked on it. It was that big, right? And he rolled up 520s. He said, "Oh, I think that should cover my So he's the best have to run around everybody over there. You'll be 100 quid.
His most famous quip was he was on either Grandstand or ITV, and he was commenting on I think it was an England game, and he was in the commentary team, and he's famous, and it goes down in history. He said, "Look, I've got to say, watching this game, I think the team that scores the most goals will probably win this."
Of course, yes. That's a good one. Boys, I tell you what, we're going to finish it there. We have gone a half an hour over, and you still, we want to get you back. Honestly, you're here for how many months now, Alan?
No, I leave 2 weeks tomorrow. I play 2 weeks, I get. But then I'm back at the end of January.
Okay, if you're back in January...
I'm back at the end of January till I think I've still got to do the flight yet, but I think it's around about 17th of March, 20th of March when we're going back then.
Fantastic. So if you're back in January, please contact Kenny. I'm sure Kenny will see you.
I'll be in touch with Kenny anyway.
Alan, just hold the book up again. Put the book up.
Yes, please, put the book up again. I want to see this.
Appreciate that. If anybody wants to buy it, I really appreciate it. The book is like there. Can I just show you? There.
Anyone that's heard the stories today must get this book, because I tell you what, guys, you heard parts of the book today, and I tell you what, if you want a great Christmas present, this is it for sure. Because I tell you what you heard today, check the book out as well. There's more in there, of course. Fantastic, Alan, having you on today. And Kenny, thank you for doing this for us today on football.
By the way, Ali, can I just say something before you go?
Yes.
I think that's the most I've ever talked in Kenny's company.
Oh my God. Oh, we're not finished. Why don't you get back in January? We could be going 2 hours.
In fairness, all the boys reckon Alan could talk on the war.
My God, this is some of these stories. I tell you what, everyone out here tonight should actually share this, because you're talking about historical stories of the Premier League, the First Division in England. Nobody's heard this. And of course, Mark Viduka and Harry Kuehl. Oh my God, guys. And these guys, this was absolutely amazing to get the inside outs about these guys, our famous Socceroos, our golden generation today, and you're part of putting together our golden generation as well, Alan. Fantastic. It's a credit to you.
Thank you. Listen, fantastic. Thank you for inviting me to the program. Loved it. Thank you. Great meeting you both tonight.
Fantastic. We'll get you back in January.
If you ever get to Sydney, just let me know, will you?
Well, we're going to definitely see you one day in Sydney, no problem. Guys, thank you for joining me tonight.
Brilliant.
I've got a couple of English cousins that are probably watching this show tonight, because I told them about the show and that, so a couple of them are probably watching them. They live down in, I think one lives in Reading, I think the other one lives down in Eastbourne, so... Yep.
Oh, right, brilliant. That'd be great, honestly.
Thank you, guys.
Anyway,
Alan,
fantastic. Thank you for
Alan, one of the great. You've given us some stories that we've never heard before. Fantastic. Thank you, Alan, and of course Kenny.
No problem.
And of course, we see you guys next week. Here's some music before we finish today, guys. Please share this show. It's absolutely amazing, guys. Absolutely amazing. Here we go, boys. Here we go. Check it out. Here we go. Hup. Thanks for joining me, guys, on Football Lesson tonight, guys. Alan Smith was our guest. Kenny Wilson, and of course the Socceroo Dad. We know Tony Goodwin, of course. Thanks, guys. See you guys next week. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Hey, what great stories tonight, guys. Please share this show anywhere and everywhere to hear some fantastic stuff. Thank you, guys. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Hey, Peanuts. Check it out. The cup of life this is the one. Now is the time, don't ever stop. We should've known, gotta be strong. We should've known, right from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet. No one can hold you back if you really want. Tell me, guys, I feel it in your soul. You want the cup of life. Night the days, here you're gonna get it. See you tuned, guys. We'll see you next week on Footballers. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Hi guys, Harry Sunday here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called thereisonlyonefootball.com, guys. They've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone. All that sporting stuff you can wear anywhere you want to wear it, guys. That's right. And don't forget the website it's on, thereisonlyonefootball.com.
There is only one football.